A first clue as to its contents is to be found in the year of its intended publication, 1960.
She has said at the very latest it had to be revealed by 1960. And when she was asked why 1960, she said because then it would become more clear.
That was the decade that changed the face of the world and changed the face of the church. So it's not at all surprising that she chose that year and said that in that year things would be clearer, because in the very short time frame, disasters would happen to the world and to the church, to the families, to our Christian society.
Does the third secret indeed predict disasters throughout the world, and in particular portray a crisis within the church? A crisis of faith? Sister Lucy herself provided a key clue when she wrote the following in her fourth memoir. In Portugal, the dogma of the faith will always be preserved, etc.
In September of 1952, Pope Pius XII sent a priest named Father Joseph Schweigel to interview Sister Lucy in Portugal on the third secret. This is a specific interrogation about the third secret. And when Father Schweigel came back, here's what he said. He said, "I cannot reveal anything of what I learned at Fatima concerning the third secret, but I can say that it has two parts. One concerns the Pope, the other, logically, although I must say nothing, would have to be the continuation of the words, 'In Portugal, the dogma of faith will always be preserved.'"
When Sister Lucy said that the faith was going to be preserved in Portugal, that implies that the faith is going to be destroyed in most other places. That's the clear implication. And I think we've seen at least one or two generations of young people in which the faith has been totally lost.
And we all knew how the third secret began from Sister Lucy's writing. In Portugal, the dogmas of the faith will always be kept. Obviously, the implication is that outside of Portugal, they might not be kept. It doesn't take a genius to figure this one out. Anybody could figure that one out.
Obviously, any investigation into the true contents of the third secret of Fatima would have to begin with the telltale phrase of the Virgin of Fatima, "In Portugal, the dogma of the faith will always be preserved," to which Sister Lucy added, etc. Within that etc. is a world of meaning. Within that etc. we will probably find out what happens to dogma in other parts of the world outside of Portugal, and we will also find out the full contents of the third secret of Fatima. So our investigation has to begin with the question, what is contained in that etc.?
Fatima scholars are in agreement that within the mysterious etc. one will find the words of the Virgin Mary, which predict a great crisis of faith within the Catholic Church, a loss of dogma outside of the nation of Portugal, and an apostasy reaching even the highest levels of the Catholic hierarchy. And this is confirmed by those who have actually read the text of the third secret.
Cardinal Alfredo Ottaviani was prefect of the Holy Office. And at the time, the Holy Office was the preeminent dicastery of the Roman Curia. He was the one who pronounced on orthodoxy and also had the jurisdiction over the final approval or disapproval of apparitions. He stated in an address he gave in 1967 at the Antonianum that the third secret of Fatima is set forth on one sheet of paper.
Cardinal Odie said that the third secret has nothing to do with Gorbachev. Our Lady was warning us against the apostasy in the church. Bishop Amaro do Amaral of Fatima in 1984, he said the third secret has nothing to do with atomic bombs or Persian missiles. It concerns the faith.
Cardinal Mario Luigi Ciappi was a Dominican priest who had been made a cardinal by Pope Paul VI. He was papal theologian under Paul VI, John Paul I, and early in the reign of Pope John Paul II. Cardinal Ciappi stated in his letter to Professor Baumgartner that in the third secret it is revealed, among other things, that the great apostasy in the church will begin at the top.
Father Joaquin Alonso, who died in 1981, was the official archivist at Fatima for 16 years and had many conversations with Sister Lucy. Here is what he had to say about the secret. It is therefore completely probable that the text makes concrete references to the crisis of faith within the Church and to the negligence of the pastors themselves and the internal struggles in the very bosom of the Church and of grave pastoral negligences of the upper hierarchy. One of the most important testimonies regarding the contents of the secret came from an interview given by Joseph Cardinal Ratzinger, now Pope Benedict XVI. At the time, he was the prefect of the Vatican Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith, and as such had access to the secret, and he read it.
Cardinal Ratzinger, in his 1984 interview with Jesu magazine, he said that the third secret concerns the dangers to the faith, to the life of the Christian, and therefore to the life of the world.